it had to take you some time to know it, to understand it, to realize it, to experience it. Give it adequate time in the practice, in the time of training the mind in this exercise. You will differentiate the rapture from the happiness ใช่ไหมทำให้เห็นความแตกต่างทำให้เห็นความแตกต่าง differentiate distinguish the rapture from the happiness. You allow to waste your time in experiencing for this fact that rapture different from happiness. This exercise. The happiness is of more calm, more cool, more silent, more stillness than that of rapture. Testing it, to know it well first in the exercise 6. We have two feelings. Now we come to exercise 7. Studying in the pointer of to know the condition of the mind. The two satisfaction, that journey happiness, is the conditioner of the mind. And now we come to know, to look, to see, to know about this fact, that the two feeling, conditioning, and the mind. Nature condition mind in disturbing way, in the disturbing way. Happiness conditions the mind in the calm way. The action of concoct, action of compile, even action of creating the mind, and that is the thought, the conception of the mind. Now we have the thought as a result from the two feelings, from the action of the two feelings, rapture and happiness, to know the product, the new product from the rapture and the happiness. Especially, we look at the action of the feeling, concoct, desire, feeling, rapture or happiness, concoct, desire. I think it is good equivalent, desire, for tanha in Pali. Bad want, blind want, ignorant want. In Pali we call it tanha. in English we have desire. You have to know well that desire is not a good want. It is a silly want, blind want. Now we come to know, to watch, to study how many that the rapture happiness concoct the desire, not by calculation, only by realization upon it, because you have the feeling, the rapture or happiness, and then it condition or concoct the desire, this desire, that desire, and that you have ever been experienced. And then look wider and wider, wider in the whole world, that everywhere, every time. Such a feeling, concoct a desire of the whole world, having the track in the mind, in that time, allow to waste the time for it, to know it when, to understand it when, that the whole world having feeling to concoct the mind, the thinking, the conception, all the time, everywhere. Until you can see that if you can command or control the feeling, the Vedana, the feeling, it is that we can control the whole world. And the whole world cause us to have desire, this way, that way, this kind, that kind. By means of giving others the object of desire, that is to have a feeling of rapture and happiness. We are enslaved by the rapture and by the happiness. Now we know this truth, this fact, why we start this exercise of the sick, to know well about the feeling, condition, the mind, or the thought, every thought of our, anytime, anywhere, every thought comes from that feeling, rapture and happiness. Having this fact in the mind, clearly in the mind for some time. And this is a step of exercise. We will see all sentient being in the whole world is in a situation of น่าสงสารอะไรอย่างเงี้ย It's a fool. All sentient being in the whole universe are in the condition of pitiful. Very usefulness of the practice of this exercise is the six, the seven. Because the rapture or happiness. Certainly we call it a feeling. Tim tang. Tim tang. Yes. Step.
แทงกดแสบ
Step. Tim
ไม่
แทงภาษาอะไร
ทิ้งอย่างนี้
ทิ่มแทง
แสบ
Step. The feeling that sentient being เผาลน burn feeling burn bake
โรสก็ได้
เผาลน the feeling ผูกพัน
ไฟ
บ้าย
ไทยครับ
ไทย
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 ไฟ
บ้ายคือไทยจะบ้ายครอบงำ dominate ครอบงำ overwhelm all sentient being look this truth this fact everywhere in the whole world feeling tapping burning biting tormenting all the time. Now all the sentient being love it, the feeling of the sentient being love the feeling of happiness and rapture, but in reality it's a step, it burns, it burns, it's a torment, opposite to the feeling of the sentient being. In this exercise, let's say when we can know when about this fact that all feeling, condition, the mind, condition, the mind, the action of the mind, that is a thinking, that is such as desire, any kind of mind การกระทำทุกอย่างของจิต
all
activity of the mind by means of the feeling, the two feelings, rapture and happiness. We study on this fact when we practice the exercise of the 7. Now we come to the exercise 8, the 8. To control the feeling, to control the conditioner of the mind. The feeling is the conditioner of the mind. And now we come to study to control the conditioner of the mind, or the feeling itself. That is to control, to command the feeling, the rapture and the happiness. At first, we come to look and see. And the delusiveness, delusiveness, maya, delusiveness of the feeling. Come to study to know, only delusiveness not a real thing. The elusiveness of the taste of the rapture and happiness. Even the thing that the feeling creates it up. And the thought, such as a desire, attachment, or anything that the feeling creates it up. Both the conditioner and the product of the conditioner is delusive. That will decrease the power of the conditioning of the feeling. Now I will tell you in advance that we have succeeded in the practice until we can have absorption or trance further from the fourth exercise, coming down the conditioner of the body. We can have trance absorption. We can command it, decreasing its power by means of the factor of the trance of the absorption. The word trance can get rid of rapture. Satyajachan. The third trance can get rid of the rapture. The Chatutthachan, the fourth chana, the fourth trance, can get rid of happiness out. Easy way to get rid of every success in having third chana or fourth chana, but not yet. Now we have not. We have to use another way. If you succeed in having third chana or fourth chana, very easy to get rid of it. In another way, we look atโทษในความหมายที่กว้างที่สุดของคำว่าโทษหรือความเลวร้ายความเสียหายเนี่ยว่าโทษห้าม more than ห้ามโทษ more than that โทษไม่ใช่คุณ opposite to benefit โทษอันตรายdanger the two to three the โทษ opposite to benefit calamity what is calamity โทษใช่ไหม
calamity มันยิ่งใหญ่
ใหญ่
วิธีการ
โทษความเลวร้ายharmfulness the acting of conditioning, of concocting, of creating and having a harmfulness ความชิบหายcalamity ruinous of action, of conditioning, of concocting, of creating. Even the rapture, even the happiness when we come to see in reality the nature of it, it is an enemy, not a friend. Rapture or happiness in reality is the enemy, not friend, not friend. But we love it, rapture or happiness. We come to see in reality that the action of condition and product of condition, and that is the feeling itself, and the result from feeling itself is enemy, not a friend. In other way we can say it is a ผู้หลอกลวง deceiver ผู้หลอกลวง Rapture happiness is deceiver to us, to lure us to go in the wrong way. Understand it, realizing it, and the feeling of rapture and happiness as a deceiver. Then we can be ourselves, can be oneself, ourselves, not to be deceived by such a thing. Then we can see dreadfulness, น่ากลัว dreadfulness น่ากลัว dreadfulness of rapture and happiness. Until we can see the dreadfulness of rapture and happiness as an enemy, not a friend. We have it as a friend. Now we know it well, not a friend, as an enemy. Dreadfulness of a feeling, and that we are under the influence of it. Now we are under influence of it, are influenced by it. Know it well, having it in the mind, repeating it, this knowledge, this realization all the time in the moment of the practice, this exercise. The 8 exercises, the 8. Now, if you succeed in practice the first group, and the first 4 groups, as we have discussed in the day before, now come to this group. You emphasize the first group until you can calm the body to the calming of the breath. Then comes satisfaction in that. Have that satisfaction as object for this exercise. Repeating it to know well of rapture and happiness, and to know well as a rapture and happiness, the conditioner of the mind, and then try to know that this is an enemy, not a friend. These 2 feelings, enemy, not a friend. And then to calm down the influence of it. To have us out of influence of it. And the 8th exercise. When the world Santikaro help you to understand steps of exercise, of each exercise step by step, until you are going to practice it bit by bit, from the 6th, from the 5th to the 8th exercise. Tonight, what exercise you will do? You have succeeded the first four steps. If succeed the first step, you can come to do to practice this. It will cause you to think that too much to study to practice, but it is necessary, very necessary, to prepare your mind in this way, to have a proper mind, a proper quality, to practice up and up, until you can realize anicca, dukkha, anatta, to have the mind beyond on in front of all things. That's the last group, the fourth group. Now in the second group, only have to improve, prepare the body and the mind, both to be used in knowing, understanding, realizing the ultimate truth of anicca, impermanent, dukkha, dissatisfactoriness, anatta, not the self. That is the goal of the practice. Now try your best to pass through the first group and the second group of this. Then we can have 8 exercise totally. Now we have a second group. Friends in birth, decay, disease, the state, the death. All our friends have to know this, to understand this, to have this as an instrument and conveyance to be beyond all problems of the life, to have a new life that is beyond the influence of positivism and negativism. Hope to be beyond influence of positivism and negativism and the final goal. Now we are in preparing the life, this life, to be a new life. We have only to call it a new life, a life beyond on influence of positivism and negativism. The whole world fall under it. I stop my conversation in instructive meaning for you, friend in birth and decay and death. Thank you to be a good listener and dare to listen my clumsy English as a Chinese speaking Thai. Brethren, let us have a talk of instruction again. Now we are coming to the third aspect of Anapanasati. That is the third group. The group of 4 exercise again. And now we come to the stage that we can control the body conditioner and the mind conditioner, both of body and mind. We can control the condition of it. And that is, we can control the body and the mind. Now, we want to command them and force them to be in our want, that is to use them to work as we want. If we look at the action of controlling, now we can control the body, the feeling, and the mind. By means of exercise of 4, we can command the mind. By means of exercise of 8, we can control. By means of the exercise of 4, we can command the body. And by means of the exercise of 8, we can control the mind. By means of exercise of 5th, we can control the feeling and the mind. We can control the body, control the feeling, and control the mind. Now we come to exercise 9 of the whole set, or the first of the third group. As I have told you, as it is an regulation, we have to practice from the first, the very beginning, and now until we come to the exercise that we are in practice. We will repeat it from the first step, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, now to come to 9. We call it Citta Patisangveti. We know it clearly, exactly, thoroughly on the mind. Well versed in the knowing of the mind. Know it every aspect of the mind. Now we check it, what the mind is in this moment first, such as now the mind having last or without last. Pali term is Raka. I'm not sure that's a good equivalent to the English term as last. Raka or last in the Pali term can be had even in an animate thing. In person we love, in animal we love, such as a pet, as dog and cat. Even in an animate thing like gold, silver, a pearl. Even and the last in a new skirt or new shirt with mind of attachment. The term last in English is of such a meaning, I'm not sure. And what the Pali term Raka can be used, all things, animate or unanimate things, without lust in something or not. But you can remember the lust you have ever had some time before, having the feeling of the lust as such, to know well now, know well of it now, to be sure that we have such a lust or not. At every stroke of breathing, noticing that he's having lust or not having. And then to know the mind having ill will, every aspect of ill will, anger, hatred, or something else in the group of ill will. Even a little bit of ill will, having or not having. And to know well about ill will. Now a little bit left in our mind. No, having no at all. To know well about the ill will. At every stroke of breathing in and out. And to know the mind having a delusion, rather in knowing it. Because we have delusion, we cannot know anything exactly true meaning of it. Delusion, moha. Raka is lust, ill will is dosa. Moha, now delusion without knowledge, without correct knowledge, without correct understanding. We call it a moha. Yeah, silly or not in some case, this case, that case. Now delusion of something left in our mind or not. And then come to know the mind is having, its being or having Sankitta. What is Sankitta? Not radiate, but sometimes we have the meaning of briefly, such as Sankitena Panchupatana Kantana. Condensed. Contracted. Shrunken. As in having Tinamitta, slot and torpor. The mind. Having slot and torpor. Sankitta. And then Vikitta. The mind can radiate. Then the mind not radiate. Or not. And the mind having mahakatta, something better than usual. More better than usual, we call it the mahakatta. Now the mind is in a usual state or having something better than usual, such as having better situation, better manner, better value. Having something better than usual or not. And having something, a big virtue, big virtue than usual. And my samahita, firmness or stableness, that is a concentration itself, or not. And that now the mind vimutta or not, vimutta means free, emancipated, even released from all burden, free from burden, released from all burden, emancipation. The mind having emancipation or not. If we did not yet emancipated, we can calculate it from some case which is not emancipated. But we can have the knowledge of emancipation a little bit from some little case we have passed. When we can pass through all burden of life, such as even doubt, even hesitation or something like that, and the man releases from that hindrance or engagement or attachment, can summarize in this term, free. To know the freeness at that moment of the mind and compare to the state of free, of being free, any time, anywhere, to know well about the meaning of free, to know now the mind is in freedom or free mind or not. Now you see the exercise 9. You check the mind to know what the mind is at that moment, having lust or not, having ill will or not, having delusion or not, having sloth and torpor or not, having big virtue or not, having something better than usual or not, stable or not, free or not. Eight pair, having or not having, eight pair. Well, word in knowing this, eight pair, to check the mind at this exercise in the 9. If we know well about the mind of ourselves, we can know about the mind of others, because it is the same form, same thing. Our lust, our lust of a friend is the same thing. You can know well. And it is we call the mind inside and the mind outside, and the mind both inside and outside. No well about the mind, any aspect in the world. If better than this, we will know about the mind itself. And what is the cause of rising of dust, and the cause of the changing of dust. As we have studied from the second group, the group of feeling, we know well about rapture and happiness cause the mind to arise. The cessation of rapture and happiness, and the two feelings, is extinction more temporarily only, not at all of the mind. The cause of a mind, the cause of all the mind to rise. The cause of a mind, the cause of all the mind to rise. The cause of the mind to extinct. Now we know well about the truth, the fact of the mind. Know the mind, every aspect. Now the exercise 9. Don't forget to begin with the very first exercise. Long breathing, short breathing, what to body, calming down the condition of the body, and then the rapture, and then the happiness, and then the true feeling. Condition the mind, the calming, the rapture, and the happiness. And then come to this. And don't begin to practice the exercise that we want to practice at that day. Every time we begin to practice, we have to come from the very beginning. And the exercise, the first. Now we have exercise 9 practice. Now we come to the 10th exercise. Now come to the exercise of forcing the mind to be this in this situation or that situation, forcing the mind to be as we want it to be. Exercise the 10. Have bring the mind to be joyful. Force the mind to be joyful. Phi mô dayang chit tăng. To force the mind to be joyful. We practice, we have had practiced the exercise of 4, calming down the condition of the body. At that exercise, we have success at that practice, and we can raise the feeling of satisfaction that is the same of joyfulness. We can go back to the practice to raise the feeling of joyfulness. The rapture and the happiness itself, we can improve it to be adequate scale of joyfulness, not too much or not too less. If too much will be rapture, if too less, not a feeling of joyfulness. We improve the rapture and the happiness to be in the form of joyfulness in the mind. When we feel that we are successing in the practice, we feel joyfulness. When we have a confidence to ourselves that we can do this, we can practice this, joyfulness will arise, will occur in the mind by itself automatically. If we are good practice, the one who practice what? Practitioner. You have ever been a good practitioner? We have to have a 5 indriya or 5 bala. Indriya, sattha, viriya, sati, samadhi, panya, 5 dhamma, gone the 5 bala, 5 power, and 5 indriya. The important instrument, sometimes we call it as a supreme instrument, the tool, instrument. We can have a sattha, confidence, viriya, energy, effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, and panya, and wisdom. We think of having these 5 indriya or 5 phala. We can have joyfulness, and joyfulness can occur in our mind at that moment. In the exercise of 4, calming down the conditioning of the body, if we have success in this exercise to upper practice, that is to have jhana, absorption or trance or ecstasy, first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. In the factor of jhana, there are piti, rapture, sukha, that it can be used as joyfulness of the mind. We are repeating the third jhana or the fourth, the second jhana or the third jhana. We can feel joyfulness at full scale from the jhana. You can have such a joyfulness by this way at that moment. Even if we feel that we are มีโชคดีว่ามีโชคดี
good fortune
having good fortune to come in here to practice this. Good fortune.
We're fortunate.
Fortunate. Having good fortune and coming here in practicing this. We are of a good fortune. Fortunately, we happen to come here to practice this Dhamma. Then the mind full of joyfulness. You can have joyfulness in many ways, by many ways. The exercise of 10, having the mind being full of joyfulness, the 10 exercise. Now we come to the exercise 11. Having the mind firm, stable, that is a concentrated itself. Having the mind firm, stable, samadahang chittam in Pali. Having the mind firm, making the mind firm. At the 10th exercise, you're having the mind joyfulness. You're having the mind firm. We can command the body, we can command the feeling. Now we can command the mind to be firm or stable by means of a concentration that we can have in the exercise of 4 and exercise 8. We repeat the exercise of 4 and exercise 8. We can have the mind stable, more degree, more scale, up and up, up and up. Now we come to know about the feature of stableness. The feature of stableness. We have three features. Firstly, the pureness of the mind. Now the mind pure, free from hindrance, from defilement, being called pure, or pureness of the mind. In Pali we call it Parisuttha or Parisutto. Secondly, stableness again. In Pali we call Samahito. And the third, activeness. You think of these 3 qualifications: pureness, stableness, and activeness. If it being full of these 3 qualifications, that it can be called firm, stable. That is a concentrated mind. When the mind pure, when the mind firm, when the mind active, you know yourself that how much usefulness about the mind. Everyone, everywhere, every time wonder to have such a mind in doing job, in doing anything has to be done. When the mind pure, when the mind firm, when the mind active, you know yourself that how much usefulness about the mind. Everyone, everywhere, every time wonder to have such a mind in doing job, in doing anything has to be done. Pureness, stableness, activeness. in practice Dhamma or Buddha Dhamma, in the wider sense, we want activeness on the time, on the level, on the step of the practice. When we want, we have to do a job, we prepare the mind to be full with these three qualifications. But we call it simply a stable mind, but it have three qualifications, important qualifications. Everyone want to have, if you know it. When we want to think, when we want to remember, when we want to sleep, good sleep, we have such a mind. We will think good. We will remember good. We will consider good. We will have a good decision in any case. If we cannot sleep, we prepare the mind in such a way, and then we can have a good sleep, a deep sleep. Even we want to stop or to decrease the flowing out of blood, the flowing of blood. We have such a mind, a stable mind. We can decrease or stop flowing out of the blood. You try yourself, you will know yourself. If you have fear, disturbance in the mind, even increase the flowing out of the blood. The usefulness of the stable mind is in our control. Pureness, stableness, activeness. Everyone want. I think everyone want. Or have to want. If it is simply one, he has tried to have the four qualifications, the three qualifications. In this practice, you try to check, inspect the pureness, stableness, activeness of your mind by yourself. Every stroke of breathing in and out, breathing in this time, having the pureness of the mind, having the stableness of the mind, the activeness of the mind. Breathing out in this time, having the feeling of pureness, stableness, activeness of the mind. Sắc xóm, sắc xóm.
Practice, rehearse.
Rehearse it every time. Repeating, improving. Even the term exercise can be used as the meaning of saksam, every day, repeating every day. Every stroke of breathing arrange it to have the value of the three qualifications: pureness of the mind, stableness of the mind, activeness of the mind. Now we come to exercise 12. The last exercise of the third group, or the 12th exercise of the whole set of 16 steps. Making the mind free, making the mind release, making the mind to be emancipated. In Pali we call it apimochayan, chittang. In short, we will call setting the mind free. Setting the mind free. Free from bondage, free from imprisonment, free from binding of object, spiritual object. Set the mind free. We can set the mind free by means of concentration. When we have the mind concentrated, we are free from hindrance. Hindrance of 5 aspects: sexuality, ill will, thought and torpor, restlessness, and doubt. You know well about 5 hindrance. ใช่ไหมเขารู้ดีแล้ว hindrance 5 hindrance ไม่รู้ You 5 hindrance in everyday life. We have 5 hindrance. Shutting the mind, imprison the mind, sexuality, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness, doubt or hesitation. You know it yourself because you have yourself all the time. Look inside to know well about the 5 hindrance in daily life. Set the mind free from 5 hindrance by means of concentration, of samadhi, as we have discussed before. Then, to set the mind free from attachment by means of wisdom. By means of wisdom, we can set the mind free from attachment. The mind attached to this or that, attached in this way, it loves something, attached in this way, it hates something, attached in this way, is full of doubt in something. These are called attachment in ordinary sense that everyone have in daily life, attached to this, attached to that, by means of love, by means of ill will or anger, by means of foolishness, without knowledge, without good knowledge. Very important to know this. To know this, actually, attached in what aspect we will fall in love, attached by what aspect will fall in hatred, by what aspect? You fall in restlessness. Restlessness. If you did not know about this, you cannot make use of this practice. Then you have to know it well, because it is in your life, in your daily life, but you did not know it. Now you have to know this very well. Then you will be able to make use of the practice of this practice to solve the problem of attachment. Sometimes we call it grasping at, snatch it, grasping at. Sometimes we call it clinging to. I think this term, English term, equivalent to the term upadana in Pali. Think the term upadana, attached to, clinging to, grasping at something in some way. To give up on attachment, it is to give up all suffering, all problems, all dissatisfactoriness of any kind. The heart of Buddhism is to do away with attachment of every kind. Summarily speaking, give up attachment to five aggregate. Only give up all attachment in five aggregate, rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, viññāna. You try to study about this five aggregate. The body, the mind that feel, and the mind when perceive, the mind will conceive, the mind will, when conscious, will be conscious. This five ring aggregate, five aggregate, from five the kanta. The mind attached to this five kanta as being I, or being of mind. I or mind, that is attachment. The base of suffering. Now we want the mind to be free from attachment. And you try your best to know when about attachment in this thing or that thing in daily life, every day. To know when about attachment, the important thing that should be to know, to be known. If not, you can not use, to make use, usefulness of this practice. We can say in two ways. We release the mind from the object, or we can release the object from the mind. It is the same thing. It is the same thing. Release the mind from the object we attach, or release the object we attach from the mind. You can speak in two ways, but it's the same thing. Release the mind, to free the mind from the object, release object from the mind. And the way to facilitate in practice, we consider เอาอีกแล้วคำว่าโทษอะไรนะโทษ harmfulness อันนี้นะโทษไม่ใช่ punishment นั่นก็โทษนี่อันตรายความเลวร้าย harmfulness of we try to know to consider the harmfulness of attachment but no, we didn't know it. We ignore it all the time. Cannot know the harmfulness of attachment. More than that, we love it. We love it all the time. The object for attachment, we love it. Even it's tormenting us, we love it. To know well about it. Harmfulness of attachment. We want to set the mind free from attachment of any kind by this exercise. The 12. We have a suffering from attachment. By means of attachment we have suffering. We consider this, notice this, study it. Especially in the moment of practice, this exercise at the 12 of Anapanasati. Breathing in and breathing out by the mind. Realizing the harmfulness of attachment, breathing in. Realizing the harmfulness of attachment, breathing out. Every stroke of breathing, all the time. How many hours has it been? The practice of exercises 12. Attachment itself is prison. It's prison. We have prisonment. We have been prison in the prison of attachment. Attachment to self. The self will be prison. Will be a jail. A jail. Attachment will be a prison or a jail. Know well about attachment. It's tormenting the mind in itself, by itself. But we misunderstand on it. We love it. Now we come to know the reality. The ultimate truth is to know well about attachment. To set free the mind from attachment. In the way of speaking of a relative truth, we will say we set free the I. We set free. It is the correct speaking, because there are no we, there are no I. There is only the mind. Then we have to set the mind free, not to set ourselves, we self free, because there is no I, and no I, no we, no. To set the mind free from attachment. That's funny to say, to set oneself free from oneself. Do you understand what it says? Set oneself free from oneself. The oneself or the self imprison us. We have to destroy the prison of the self. of one cell of the cell. This way we call it speaking in ultimate truth. If we're speaking in relative truth, we can say, set I, set me, set oneself from attachment. In ultimate truth, we can say, set the mind from the thing the mind attached to. That is to free the mind from attachment. 12 exercises to well. And the last of the third group of the mind. The group of the mind is the third group. Similarly, now we can say, now we are master of the mind. We are the master of the mind. In reality, we are the master of self, of ourself, of we self. We are the master of the mind. And that is the master of the self. Now we have a free mind. Then we can use the free mind to practice the upper exercise, up and up, up and up. That is the fourth status. We have to prepare the mind in such a way, such a condition, then the mind being able to practice the upper exercise. That is the fourth group. We will speak about it next day. Now we have discussed about the third group, or the third aspect of mindfulness development, or Anapanasati. The first exercise of this group, to know well about the situation of the mind, and then forcing the mind to be in joyfulness, forcing the mind to be in stableness, forcing the mind to release all things which attaches to the mind. Or another way you can say, release the thing from the mind. That is to set the mind free from attachment. Tonight we can practice this 4 exercises. Last night we practiced the second group, now the third group. Venerable Santikaro intend for you to facilitate the practice, step by step, bit by bit. Now we have to stop. Friendly conversation, friendly in birth, in decay, in disease, in distress. Thank you to be a good listener, endearing to listen. My English speaking clumsiness as a Chinese speaking Thai on the time. Present, friend in birth, decay, disease, distress. Now let us continue our instructive conversation on Anapanasati Bhavana, or the development of mindfulness by means of breathing. Now we have come to the 4th aspect of the whole set. The 4th aspect is the heart, or essence of the whole system of Anapanasati. Now we will begin from the very beginning. That is the exercise 1, exercise 2, 3, 4 onwards. As I have told you, as a regulation, every time we start a practice, we have to practice from the very beginning. The first exercise, second exercise onwards. But now we have to come to the first beginning of the step for some special purpose. That is to know it well. Each object of each exercise to see it especially to look and see the truth of impermanence, anicca. This exercise is the 13. Upon the truth of impermanence, called in Pali as anicca-nupassi, seeing thoroughly on impermanence. Impermanence in Pali, anicca. I'm not sure that's a good equivalent to each other. Impermanence means changing. Perpetual change, perpetual flux. It is temporarily rising, residing, ceasing. All things temporarily arising and then residing and then ceasing. Arise, reside and cease. That is the stream of impermanence or anicca. Now we have to have in our mind the 12 objects of the first 12 exercise of the whole set. From the exercise 1, we have the object as a long breathing. Exercise 2, we have a short breathing. Exercise 3, we have all body, wet body and stretch body. Exercise 4, we have the calming down of the condition of the body. Then exercise 5, we have rapture as object. 6, we have object of happiness. 7, we have the function of the feeling, conditioning the mind. And 8, coming down the power of the conditioner of the mind. And then the 9, exercise 9, we have the attitude of the mind in all aspects, as we have discussed. exercise 10. We force the mind to be joyful, eloquent. We force the mind to be stable and well. We force the mind to release the object that it's attached to. You will repeat these 12 objects of 12 exercises. Now, at the exercise 1, we experience the breath itself, to know it impermanent, and the longness of the breath is impermanent, shortness of it is impermanent. Breath body impermanent, flesh body impermanent. Relationship between the two bodies impermanent. The conditioning of the breath body to flesh body is impermanent. You have to repeat now and then from the very beginning. Even the flesh body calms down and down. The flesh body impermanent. The action of calming down of the breath body and flesh body is impermanent. Even the result of the conditioning is impermanent. At the first breath of 4 exercises, we can see impermanence, various form, various way. Only to see, look and see.